Hey guys, welcome back to Guys Aviation Debrief Edition. Today we are going to watch the Red Rocket video where I go over everything that I found wrong with it, and you know what? I found more things wrong with it later on, but let's get into it. Oh man, rewatching these videos is sometimes it's still painful, but let's go. Hey guys, welcome to the Fly with the Guys YouTube channel. I'm Carl, and this is my 1939 J3 Cub that I am super excited to be owning right now. It is a project, and yes, we are going to fix it. And in today's video, I'm going to go through all the things that I found wrong with the airplane. No, I did not get a pre-buy on it because, yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. I mean, seriously, why would I want to get a pre-buy on something that I know has been crashed and I'm going to have to go through it all anyway? So it's like, let's just roll with it and roll the dice. And in all honesty, when I bought the airplane, I got it at such a good price that I'm like, I'm not upside down on this. And so even if this was broken beyond repair, I can still sell the engine and parts and those things from it to be able to recoup the money that I invested into it. So I felt this wasn't really much of a risk. But, you know, that was the broken landing gear. That was not salvageable. I'm gonna tell this story really quick here. This airplane sustained a hard landing, and you can see some of the damage right down over here, and this is probably where it all started. During the hard landing, it looks like this main probably touched down first, and again, I'm assuming everything here. I don't have any details, which caused a lot of stress here. So it broke, severed. And all of this got taken out. Here, that all is right here. We're missing that pipe up over there. I think I have it in some rummage over there. You can see this end here, completely mangled. This guy's all bent, and this mounting piece is completely gone. Not a good situation. And along with that, so it, in fact, did not have a hard landing. The person who owned it was flying it inverted, and the gasculator was installed properly before, and there's a little piece of mesh in the gasculator that acts like a filter, and it was folded over on itself. So some debris had collected in the gasculator bowl, flying inverted, got ingested in the airplane. And so they came down and they touched down properly on a dirt road, and the dirt road had a 90-degree turn well before they're going to be able to stop. And you can see that there's big 26-inch tires on this airplane for another reason. But the pilot said, I can either hit the brakes and nose over, or see if these 26-inch tires can eat the end of the road where there was a berm. And so he just went for it, and the landing gear got ripped off, and yeah, completely off the airplane. You'll see more of that damage in a little bit. We have this mounting surface here. This is usually where the wing struts would come in and mount right here. This guy is supposed to be mounted down under here, but the little dog ear that it mounts to is missing. Again, this is supposed to be right there. So, not very good, but the story from this actually gets worse. With all of this stuff gone, it actually wasn't hitting the ground. This was a non-prop strike. So up here, didn't get low enough to the ground to cause any problems. But at the same time, I was reading some of the NTSB reports this. So more backstory to that. As he was coming down, there was an electric start system inside of the airplane, and he bumped it until the propeller was horizontal so that it wouldn't have a prop strike. It did settle down on the ground. The airplane, and it did have a landing where there was some engine problems, and I'm wondering if that whole event was related, and that's actually why it didn't have a prop strike. Maybe the nose did get lower, I don't know. But down under here, making all kinds of assumptions here. I had no idea what really happened, you know, but I do now, but at this moment, still no clue. After everything had happened, they removed all the landing gear. They just removed it all and they set it on the ground. Now, the way that the cowling was and everything that happened, the exhaust pipes actually went underneath the aircraft right down here. And so by setting it on the ground, you can see there's some damage here. All of this got pushed in, a little bit of bending down here along the main part of the firewall. And that was where one of the hidden pieces of damage that I didn't recognize resided, is underneath that firewall seam. You can see it's kind of bent down underneath the frame right there. And so we had to do some repair of the structure of the airplane. Nothing too major. It was very minor considering what I'm seeing right here. Easy repair and no problems with it right now. But all of that bending that's underneath there, the exhaust pipes had flex sections to them. So when it was on the ground, those flexed up into the bottom of the boot cowling there, creating all that damage. So there's going to have to be some repairs there. So far on our list of things that I need to fix. I need to fix this, I need to replace this, I need to replace that, and I need to replace the gear fitting that is just right over there. I'm also going to be checking underneath here to make sure there wasn't any other bent parts. There wasn't any other bent parts, but some fun information about the J3 Cub is the gear fittings that were there, holding on the landing gear and everything, was originally made with a very small bolt. And these were original to the airplane from 1939. And they had put some more heavy gear, or heavy duty landing gear on it to increase its gross weight at some point. And all that was a couple of pieces of structure, but mostly an 1.5 inch axle with a little bit more metal to be able to support heavy duty stuff. And they never updated or upgraded the gear fittings with a larger bolt size, which is what they did inside of the Super Cub and other aircraft to make it so that these airplanes could handle a larger gross weight. Something that we did fix when we went through this project. The larger gear fittings were a huge win for us and allowing us to be able to arbitrarily have a higher gross weight. But yeah, looking back at this, I'm like, man, those bolts are so small. That recovery was also taking off the wings, and when they took off the wings, I mean, I don't understand half the things, but instead of actually trying to do things, they just start cutting. So they cut that off, remove the wings. They did just cut that, and I did try to remove that hose from that, and it was an absolute nightmare. I had to cut it off. So, I mean, props to the guys who recovered the airplane. They already knew, they just had to start cutting. And we'll come over here to this side, and it's a similar story. They just removed this guy here. Just cut it. Now, you may or may not have seen it right there. The actual hinges for that door did get, I don't know if it's from the accident or if it's just from use over time. I ended up having to replace those hinges and getting new hardware for it and new mounting bolts and putting in new structure and stuff up there to be able to make all of that work again. And it's working great now, but I didn't realize that when I was going through all this. But as far as the damage from the landing, I think that's about it. I'll show you guys this this fitting right here. This one is probably fine, but it's not fine. Entirely like it, so I am going to replace this fitting as well. The front fittings look perfectly fine, so we're going to leave those. And we did not, again, wear that larger bolt. So when we replaced the back ones, when I got the new hardware for it, I realized, oh, it's a larger bolt, and we ordered the front ones and had them all replaced at once. As far as the interior goes, there is not any damage that I can tell that's going on in here. That was actually good. These seat belts are terrible. I don't know when they were put in, but they're very stiff. So not keeping the seat belt, so we'll be putting something else in. The only other weird thing that I can think of right now is this guy right here. So this is a modification specifically to a clip wing Cub, because when they removed 40 inches from each wing, they did it from the root. And so that pulled the wings in. The gear fittings, you actually had heated them up till glowing and you bent it upwards. It said to hit it like 3 times with a hammer. And then, so what that did is it made a higher angle on the wing strut. And so the door would actually come down and hit it and such. So they made this modification to it really poorly. And you can see right there, it's already cracking. And so we did proper repair to this, cleaned it up, and it's working perfectly now. But yeah, I didn't realize that this was part of the clip wing process, and that's just bad. I don't know much about this, but it looks like it was altered at some point for some reason, maybe a handhold to be able to help pull these together when you close them. But I feel like it was poorly done, so I'm gonna have to, there's a crack inside of the weld right there. I'm either gonna have to replace this or repair it myself. Not really a big deal. So that's all the major portions of damage that happened to the front part of the airplane. Back here on the back, there's absolutely no damage that was done to the airplane. Everything looks perfectly fine.
To the tail section, it wasn't necessarily damage from the accident, but there was some damage up there. Damage isn't the right word. We'll just say a hair of bending. Some of you may have been aware that there was an AD that came out for some PA-18s, Cub-style aircrafts. There were 2 Super Cubs, I believe, up in Alaska, where the tail section at the top hinge actually folded over. And they were both on seaplanes, but high horsepower modified aircraft. And when I received this, I was actually back there looking at it, and I remember mine was teetered just a hair in the same direction that those ones were. So when that AD came out, I remembered that, and I looked at it, and we went ahead and made a modification to the airplane to straighten that up and reinforce it. So so there wouldn't be any more problems with that. And normal J3 Cubs didn't have to comply with this for like 10 years, but the horsepower requirement, anything over 150 horsepower, had to take care of it more quickly. And I was at 160, and then we did more modifications to it. So we're even higher horsepower than that. So I could see why that AD got put into place. And for some of you guys who are like, this is so dumb. It's like, yeah, it's probably dumb for a regular Cub, but for ones with higher performance engines, it's definitely needed. Definitely. Anyways.
Now, there was some stuff that happened to the wing, so let's go take a look at that, but I forgot to open this other hangar door, so. Yeah, so. This is a mess of parts. Anyways, the wings. So, this is the right wing, left wing is down underneath. Oh, I may not be able to get to it. Let's try. Right down here, you can see that there is a tear inside of the fabric. Wish I could get a better shot of that.
So in the accident, the left wing came down and it touched the ground. There's actually rocks that got inside of there, like gravel rocks. And but we inspected the wing. There was no damage to the spar. We double checked the bow, which is also wood, which is where this tear is. No damage with the bow whatsoever. So this must have like hit a larger, more pointy rock and just torn the fabric, because there's literally no damage on the inside of the airplane. We were able to just patch this up inside of the end and call it a day.
But I just can't right now. And that's about, it's a small tear, about the size of a dollar bill. So that's easily patchable, but we're gonna have to definitely double inspect the wings, make sure that there's nothing going on inside of the wings.
There's still a couple rocks in it.
Right over here. All of these guys look to be in perfect shape, nothing wrong with them. Again, we're gonna inspect especially the ends of them and make sure that the welds all look good, that nothing is bent and that everything is straight. So I don't have any word on these guys just.
Tidbit of information, when you do the clip wing Cub, these are shortened as well. We talked about how they move them, but they're shortened. And so they're unique to the airplane. And they're all weird sizes. It's like they were all modified or brought together and modified from different airplanes from different times. And so some of them are wider or narrower. The 2 big ones are actually the same. It's the 2 aft ones that are smaller that are different. But it's just interesting to me that they were not the same.
Yet, my mechanic and I still have to go through that. We were tinkering with the engine just a little while ago and just kind of assembling how that looks. But some of the other damage. All right, I told you guys that the exhaust pipes, that they just set it on the ground. And you can see some of the remnants of that right here. with all the...
Yeah, so you can see that flex section that's right there. This one actually broke, and I could see repairs that had been done to it a lot over time. And so we did not want to keep these the way that they were. The other one, I think, was okay. It had flexed enough up. But this one right here that we're showing, it was definitely toast.
Scratching and things are going on, and this broke right here. So I'm either gonna have to fabricate something completely new from here out, or just get this tab re-welded on, which actually will probably work just fine. So we're gonna probably end up doing that. Side of the wings over here, you can see where they just cut this guy, they just cut that guy. No big deal, we'll just get that fixed. Outside of that, the wings look great, just dusty right now and have some stuff on them. The propeller, non-prop strike, right? Everything looks
good condition.
Now to the engine. Like I said, we were tinkering with it, seeing how it was put together.
So tidbit about the propeller is this propeller was unique, and it may have been unique to this airplane. It's 73 inches, but it's supposed to be 76. So the propeller was purchased or overhauled, cut down, and then repitched to a more aggressive, I think more aggressive pitch than it originally was, and then they stamped a new set of numbers on it and experimental. And so I've been trying to sell this off and on for the last 2 years, and nobody is buying it. And now that I understand what I just explained, rightfully so. I'm probably going to keep this as a piece of art or sell it as a piece of art, because unless you want it for a very specific application, it's kind of useless in the air.
But we were able to turn the engine and getting compression out of all cylinders. So why this may have had an engine problem inside of flight, we're wondering if it had to do with fuel starvation or something like that, or maybe a bad magnetos. We're gonna have to dig into that. But some more damage, some more carnage to say. Oh. So this is what's left of my bottom cowling. This is where the air intake was, right here. The exhaust pipes ran underneath it and out, and when they set it down, everything got completely crushed. So yeah, this is not pretty.
Yeah, again, I don't think it got set down when that landing gear, I think it hit the ground. But I don't have any pictures of this section of the airplane. All I had was pieces like this and what was in there and the air box. And the air box was, I think we look at that in a second, but I mean, it was totally mangled and pushed up as well. So I had to like redesign the whole bottom of the airplane just from my own, or buy parts and do it. And you know what, we made it work inside of the end, and I think it's really cool. But anyways.
But thankfully, easily repairable. Repair is not the right word. Replaceable. We can rebuild this. This is not hard. This is some sheet metal and some rivets and some bending. All things that we can source locally and make on our own. So we're gonna do that. Some more bits and pieces in here. Oh, here's part of that middle section, the struts and stuff.
Right there. That's the gas bladder repair.
Just kind of pieces all over. We have all of the baffling. It's called baffling. We have all of the baffling and everything here.
I couldn't remember what it was called at the time. I literally stopped and sat there for like 8 seconds and like, oh yeah, baffling, and then said it. I had to rebuild a lot of this. It was kind of still assembled, but it was just a mess and cracking and falling apart. And not from the accident, either from removal or just from long-term use.
Still intact. We're going to go through it, make sure it works, repair the parts that need to be repaired or replaced. Again, baffling is not hard to work with or fix. All right, one bit that I did forget to mention that got damaged is this is the air intake and also where the carburetor heat comes from. You can see that it is mangled. I am going to probably have to replace this. I don't know if it can be repaired. I'm going to talk to a metal shop here locally.
Fun fact about this is that it was special. So someone fabricated that, altered it. The air, you can see the tube coming off the back of it. That was put there. It used to be on the side, and then they put a block plate on that, and then on the top has a larger flange than it originally was inside of there. So I mean, they did a lot to this air box to make it work for this airplane, and I couldn't find anything. I was going to have to rebuild it from scratch, so I'm really glad that we didn't go that route and did something very different.
That does nothing but repair boxes like this and see if this can be hammered out in some way. But yeah, that's definitely going to need some help. So as far as I know, I think that's everything that's wrong with the airplane right now. Now that doesn't mean that there's not going to be other odds and ends or things that we're going to find. The wheels here, the tires, I'm not planning on keeping these tires. I don't want this to be a bush plane, and let's be honest, this is a clipped wing Cub. They removed 40 inches off of each wing from the root and made it shorter. This is not supposed to really be a bush plane. This is more set up for aerobatics. So these tires may have been part of the reason that this structure weakened over time. So yeah, don't want to keep these. They're going flat. I don't really know why. I don't know much about these tires, but I've got new tires on the way.
Fun fact, I sold those to a buddy. Well, he wasn't a buddy at the time. He reached out to me because he saw the Red Rocket and he realized I was at Deer Valley and he wanted to upgrade the tires on his plane. And I'm like, I don't know how good these tires are. And he's like, they're worth it to me to buy. So he bought them, put them on his plane. He got about 100 landings on them before they absolutely failed on him. But he was able to prove that it worked on his airplane. And so he went ahead and actually spent the money on brand new tires,
which will actually make working on the airplane's engine easier because it's going to lower it several inches, which will be nice. So yeah, I'm going to go with that's it. So that's everything that I know is wrong with this airplane. So I told you that my mechanic and I were playing with the engine and starting to piece together some of the puzzle that was there. But next video, I think I'm going to have him do a full inspection on this and see if he can find anything else. Any of you guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and make sure to check out the previous video on the channel page that shows you where we picked this thing up. But as always, share aviation wherever you can, and we'll see you in the next one.
So my mechanic did come and he looked at it one more time, and we couldn't find, from what we were looking at, any more actual damage. Now that didn't mean that the airframe wasn't bent in some way from that landing that it had and going over that berm. So in the next video, we're going to explore that. But for now, that's going to be it for this. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. This one was pretty straightforward, but as I'm looking at everything that is here, I'm realizing, man, we replaced so much of this, so much hardware, new firewall, redesigned everything, and I'm really glad that we did it, because this is a far cry from what the airplane actually is now. So anyways, if you guys have any questions about anything that you saw, go ahead and leave them down inside of the comments, and as always, share aviation wherever you can, and we'll see you in the next one.